First at 4, the UAW accelerates its strike, putting thousands of additional workers on the picket lines, the new target, and the automakers' response. We'll talk to business editor Rob Maloney. Also, there's a huge bump in the road for Michigan's famous Bumpy cakes. Why those sweet treats could be disappearing from store shelves. And here's Kim.
Definitely the best day of the week. Look at this skyline. Gorgeous blue skies, but rain will be returning to Metro Detroit. We'll talk about it in a few minutes.
Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Karen Drew. First at 4, the UAW is stepping up strike efforts with another new plan targeted for the second day in a row. Now, today, the union turned the heat up on General Motors. About 5,000 workers walked off their jobs at the company's highly profitable SUV factory over in Arlington, Texas. Union President Shawn Fain threatened further strikes last week, and that's 2 in 2 days. Monday, the union went on strike at the Stellantis pickup truck plant in Sterling Heights. General Motors says it is disappointed by the escalation of the strike, and it is time to finish this process to get its team members back to work. Meantime, the company reports profits are down 7% in the third quarter from a year ago, and it's already preparing to lose $800 million due to the strike. About 2 hours ago, Stellantis announced 525 new temporary layoffs split between plants in Sterling Heights and Warren. That pushes the company's total number to more than 2,000. And that company also pulled out of the annual Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas in January, blaming the strike. Right now, the number of UAW employees on strike has climbed to 46,000 across GM, Stellantis, and Ford. Now, we're going to bring in business editor Rob Maloney to talk a little bit more about this. And Rod, why this plant, why now, and what kind of message is the union sending here?
Well, the message is they're serious, Karen, and here's the thing. I mean, this much like Ford with its Super Duty truck plant down in Kentucky, and then yesterday with Sterling Heights Assembly, now General Motors has one of its major plants hit. This is the SUV plant in Arlington where they make all of their heavy-duty, very, very profitable SUVs. It's going to cost GM a lot of money. You talked about the $800 million that has been lost so far. Chances are they're going to double that in a heartbeat by losing production at this particular plant. And so it was a plant that Shawn Fain had threatened to put down about 18 days ago, so almost 3 weeks ago, but then opted because GM had come to the table with another offer. He said, okay, we'll hold off. Well, today he puts it down on strike. And so now General Motors really has an incentive to try and get to whatever final offer he can get and get this thing settled.
Are you hearing, Rod, anything new this afternoon about the negotiations? Have the automakers done anything to improve their offers since last Friday?
Well, I've been told by a source close to the negotiations that General Motors, well, so Stellantis really jumped in yesterday and went late because of the shutdown. We're not hearing certainly what GM is doing, but you have to believe that they're going to be in there trying to get this thing taken care of as well. And of course, Ford is sitting over in Dearborn wondering what's to come next. And might it be that Shawn Fain would close down the Dearborn truck plant, the F-150 plant? That's the question on everybody's mind, and certainly it is another one of those cards that Shawn Fain talks about playing that could get very expensive on that part of town.
It sure can. Expect the unexpected on this one. All right, Rod, we appreciate the time, the insight, the input. We will be checking back with you for updates at 5 and 6. We're also tracking a labor dispute at Detroit's casinos. Today, union members packed Detroit's city council chambers. Now, this is day 7 of the walkout, where employees say they are striking for higher wages. Casino workers asked the city council for its support and expressed their concerns about replacement workers. City council passed a resolution supporting the employees, telling them to keep fighting. The city does stand to lose tax revenue with fewer people visiting the casinos during the strike. Company behind Sanders' Bumpy Cake says it's getting into a dire situation, and those famous treats may actually disappear from store shelves. They're available right now, but the company has been without a bakery partner since August. The CEO says the company hasn't been able to find a new alternative, and the Bumpy Cakes could be out of stock by the end of the year. The statement says, in part, please know that this was not something we expected to happen. We know Bumpy Cakes hold a special place in your lives and celebrations and in the culture of Michigan. We are committed to being able to make Bumpy Cakes again with a new partner in the future. We'll have more on this story when you join us at 5. Today's first forecast, we're talking a sunny and 70. Just take a look at Detroit's riverfront. I mean, it is gorgeous. The blue water, the blue sky. There's hardly a cloud there, but there's a catch. So let's bring in Kim Adams to see what that's all about.
I know. Well, yes, of course, it's not going to last forever, but we are just going to soak it up tonight. Take a look at these temperatures. Unbelievable. 77 at Metro Airport. It's close to 80 degrees right now in Monroe. A little cooler as you go to the north because there are more clouds to the north. Sandusky's at 70, Port Huron 72, but hey, we'll take it this time of year. It is absolutely beautiful. This is the 24-hour temperature change. So temperatures right now are 23 degrees warmer than they were at 4 o'clock yesterday in Monroe, 22 degrees warmer at Metro, and 20 degrees warmer in Howell and also in Pontiac. Now tomorrow, not quite as warm. We only get into the mid to upper 60s and we bring in a chance for rain. But we're not done with the 70s just yet. We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes.
Israel's war on Hamas is putting more than 2 million people in the Gaza Strip into an increasingly devastating situation. They're running out of food, running out of water, medicine, fuel. Even before the ground offensive Israel is expected to launch. Kimberly Gill is joining us now to talk a little bit about where things stand. Kim, one Palestinian official is offering a really stark warning.
Yeah, you're right, Karen, and good afternoon to you. We're told the lack of fuel is becoming extremely critical for emergency medical care. One official with the Palestinian Authority says if they don't get fuel soon, hospitals will start turning into mass graves. That warning comes as Israel steps up its bombardment of the Gaza Strip. Israel's military says it hit about 400 targets in the last 24 hours. It's difficult to independently confirm the numbers, but the Gaza Health Ministry says at least 700 Palestinians have died in the past day, including 305 children. The timing of a ground offensive remains uncertain. The White House refuses to confirm that it's urging Israel to delay that next step, but admits it's asking tough questions about potential unintended consequences. One point of concern is the safety of the 200 hostages still being held by Hamas. 2 more were just released yesterday. Hamas has said the 2 Israeli women were returned for, quote, compelling humanitarian reasons. But both their husbands are still being held captive. The daughter of one hostage translated some of her daughter's thoughts during a news conference.
It's wonderful. My mom is very much hoping that all the people that were with her will come back. My mom and my dad were separated at the very beginning, and so we do not know, from my mom's story, what happened to my dad. We do know that he was injured.
Now, Israel has dropped leaflets in Gaza asking Palestinians to reveal information on the other hostages' whereabouts, promising protection and rewards for any information. So, Karen, our coverage will continue from the Middle East when you join us for Local 4 News at 5.
All right, we appreciate it. Thank you, Kim. Well, another supporter of former President Donald Trump has pleaded guilty and promised to testify in that Georgia election tampering case. Attorney and conservative media figure Jenna Ellis was in tears in court, telling the judge that she was misled by other lawyers with more experience. She pleaded guilty to a felony for aiding and abetting false statements and writings. She will serve 5 years probation and agreed to testify against fellow defendants, including former President Trump. He's one of 18 people accused of trying to overturn the 2020 presidential election results in Georgia. Trump denies any wrongdoing. Help for the homeless becomes more and more critical as we head into the winter months. And now Macomb County nonprofit is worried it might not be around to lend a hand this year. Motor City Mitten Mission provided emergency housing for more than 500 people last winter. But Paula Tubman finds that organization is quickly running out of money.
Trinity Lutheran Church in Warren today is being transformed.
It's really what we do best, Carrie.
It is what we do best.
Take care of other people just like us.
Into an emergency shelter. Open date November 1st. Close date could be as early as Christmas. But not by choice, but by funding. The Motor City Mitten mission started by crafting warming mats out of discarded grocery bags. They morphed into an emergency organization. We were with them last winter as they found people living on sidewalks and in cars.
This is something that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy.
But they also take people in off the street when it gets cold.
We'll start bringing the blankets in here.
By transforming spaces into shelters. But this year they've lost all of their major funding.
If we didn't get another penny, we probably would only be able to operate for 2 months. maybe get us through the holidays.
Reverend Louis Steer sits on the Continuum of Care Board.
That is the establishment that takes care of HUD funding.
He's the one who actually asked Motor City Mitten Mission to expand its mission to become an emergency shelter for Macomb County.
There's only so much money to go around, and the existing entities that have been getting the grant money from HUD still need to be funded. So it's hard to get a new entity to enter into the program.
This organization can stretch $1. They can generally get by annually with about $208,000. This year, however, they enter the season with less than $55,000.
A lot of our staff are either currently homeless themselves or they were formerly homeless. If we don't have the money to fund our payroll and our staff, then a lot of these people are going to be put in a similar situation that they were in previously.
We are the emergency shelter for the county. We have 500 different people that slept in a bed last year. I'm sad that we couldn't get it through to get the funding that we needed for something.
Yeah, a lot of emotion there, and also a lot of fear when you consider it, because they take care of men and women. They put families up in hotels. It costs money to heat this space, and then also you have to feed people. And so they're really counting on private donations to at least get them through until April so they can stay open. So we're going to put information on our website, clickondetroit.com. They've got a whole list of events coming up. Maybe you can have an opportunity to dial in and get to know these folks. Perhaps you know someone who's able to sponsor or help them, Karen. But this is dire. This is really dire right now.
And they do so much, and they're so needed. I hope people turn out and help. Thank you, Paula.